I was just saying that, you know, as a parent, like I'm one of those people that would go out and go on those rides and be with the kid the whole time. And then also, a lot of the people that I know are also those parents that go and stay with their kids, unless you have too many kids, that you kind of have to split your efforts. So, you may have to leave some of them around, because you have to support, another one. If you have only two parents and you have four kids, then somebody's going to get dropped off or somebody's not going to be able to participate in their, activity. So, also, I think like sometimes we may think like that parent that is sitting there is like being super unselfish, but they may have other like pockets of selfishness. Maybe that's just not their thing. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but the overwhelming aspect of things now, from what I've seen and from people, is very selfish because we just had a conversation before we started this, and it seems like the more you're nice to people, the more they're mean and cold to you, which I don't understand because if you're nice to someone, you would try to like see that, it's going to be reciprocated. But I go through this all the time, and I think for me, I'm going to adjust because naturally, I'm a caring and I'm a nice person, so I'm not going to be around anybody and just be mean or cold to them for no reason. And a lot of people are that way. And ironically, a lot of women that I've encountered, they're like that. They have like a cold side. Like you could be nice, or if you say something they don't like, they get an attitude and they start getting cold. You ask them if they're mad at you, and they say, "Oh, I'm not mad. I'm such and such." And it's like, but what kind of world do we live in for people to act that way? So, with my grandparents, we all have flaws, but when it come to them, I'm not gonna lie, man. I got some of the greatest grandparents ever. Like all of them, you know. Yeah, everybody got their ways, but they were very unselfish. And it's things that I saw them do, I don't really see that now. And I just think with my grandparents, they had a lot of patience. You know, they really understood, I think sometimes too, before I get to my next point, a lot of times the grandparents love the grandchildren more than their own children, to be honest. So
Well, that's for sure.
so you know, they were phenomenal, and nobody's perfect. Everybody have their ways, but as far as being a grandparent and being there and being supportive, they did all of that because a lot of times with when I was young playing sports and doing different things and boxing, playing football, basketball, sometimes family wouldn't be there. But when I lived with my grandparents for, I think, almost 2 years, I stayed with them. They never missed anything. They was at all of my events. They took me to practice. They was there for everything. And I just thought about it the other day, thinking like, is these things common? You could talk to kids now and see that there's not really much support with their family or friends. Even now, what I'm doing now, I don't get a lot of support from my family and friends. I get some, but majority of my support is from the outside. It's not really much from the people that surround me. But I know if my grandparents was alive, they would be heavily supporters of what I'm doing because they always supported us. So in that aspect, I just feel like they were on another level. You would have to be there to see what I'm talking about. But man, trust me, man, they never missed nothing. They came to
Mm,
every game and they was on the sideline cheering. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I look over and I'm seeing him like this. And I'm here like, okay. And that gave me motivation to keep going. I'm like, oh, I got a grandma over there. Like, yeah, that's my grandson. So
So that's
those
my
were,
grandbaby.
yeah. And then see my grandfather, he was quiet. And even him, he'll pump a fist. But in the older age of my grandfather, every time I would see him, he would bring up like two stories with me. And he'll go
Mhm.
around and tell these stories to everybody. So when I first came down there to stay with them, he took me to Walmart. This is like the first time that I went to Walmart. So he said,
Oh wow.
yeah, because in New York City, we don't have Walmarts at the time. We didn't have none of that stuff. I don't know if there's Walmart up there now. I think there might be one, but at the time I never been to a Walmart. So he told me before we walked in, he said, get whatever you want. And so I walked in there. So I'll grab something. And every time I grab something, I would come back to him and I say, Granddad, is this too much? And he was like,
Mm.
no, that's not too much. So I get something else. I say, Granddad, is this too much? And he always would tell everybody, right? He said I was the only person, especially as a kid, that would do that. And he just thought that was so thoughtful that I didn't go crazy. Because usually when you tell kids to go get whatever they want, they go crazy. But every time I pick something up, I come to him and say, Granddad, is this too much? And he told that story until he passed away. He was like, "You remember that I brought you to the store, and you just kept coming back to me, man. I love that. No kid ever did that with me, man. You the only one." And he would tell that story to
Mm.
everybody. And then he have another story with his neighbor. And this when I first came down there, and the neighbor accused me of something.
Oh
I
dang.
don't know if he accused me of stealing something or doing something, and at that time they lived in Alabama, so it was a lot of stuff going on, and he was a white guy. So,
Wait,
I
your
wasn't.
grandfather was a white guy?
No, the neighbor was a white guy.
Oh,
My
okay. I almost
grandfather's
had
black.
questions. It's okay.
No,
No, it's
no,
okay.
no,
I
no.
just
He's a black guy.
question.
No, I'm just saying that uh, the neighbor accused me, I think, of stealing something or messing with something in his yard. And I didn't go in his yard because he had a big rock wall, and I was like, I'm not going over there. But I was they had a huge yard, my grandparents. So first time I'm getting there, they had a beautiful yard. They had flowers and all this stuff. So I'm walking around. So this guy comes up and start yelling at me and telling me to stay out of his yard. And so I went and told my grandfather what was going on. And man, my grandfather had my back, boy. He was like, who the hell, that's my grandson. My grandson is still nothing from you, man. What the hell are you talking about? He was going, he was going off.
He was going up.
He
It
was
was
going
about to be
off
up.
on. Yeah, it was about to be up, and he told him stories, and he was like that he believed me. He just had my back, and he went back and forth with the guy. But those were two of his favorite stories. And my sister told me the other day, that's all he would talk about when it come to you, Jamal. He would just tell them two stories about the Walmart and then the time that the guy accused me of stealing. But my grandparents is the epitome of marriage, man. Like it's something that I always wanted, but I never got. And I don't think I ever get it. Some people are,
Nah.
well, some people are blessed to have these things. With me, when it come down to women, I meet a lot of selfish women. I never really, they would be nice to a point, and then they would get selfish and mean. I just don't understand it. But I don't know. In this climax of relationships, I think we're doomed.